story is about a married man, Kyle Matthews, who wakes up one morning and hasn't seen his wife for a couple of days. They're going through a really, really rough time right now. And he comes to terms and figures out that he wants to make amends, and he wants to work everything out and get his wife back. So he begins to write her a letter, which basically apologizes for everything that he's done and all the fighting that they've had.
During this process, he gets a phone call from a detective or a private investigator who has discovered some information about his wife and has dropped him off some pictures that reveal what his wife has been doing.
We see then his reaction to that, and I think that's what was, what me and Russell really went for when we wrote this, was that what would a guy do if he saw his wife in these pictures? And I think, there's all different types of reactions to this, and this is kind of the one over the edge kind of reaction. And Mike, playing Kyle just goes crazy, and the first thing he thinks about is ending his life.
This movie is linked to 12 Steps Nowhere, and it came about, Dave and I have been running through some ideas on what to do after we had shot 12 Steps Nowhere, and one of the ideas floating around was to take the secondary characters in 12 Steps, since 12 Steps is from one man's point of view, and it's one character really, one character study, and take all the secondary characters and kind of play out their storylines.
That's how we justified linking this to 12 Steps Nowhere, our film that we did right before this. Cindy Aubrey plays Cindy Matthews in both films. Actually, if you see the end of 12 Steps, her credit is Cindy K. Matthews, which is on the tombstone at the end of A Second More. So she is at this bar, hiding, being away, getting away, drinking her sorrows away, trying to figure out what she wants to do with her marriage.
Her role is really kind of insignificant, not insignificant in 12 Steps Nowhere, but it's part of the story that just leads somewhere else. She's just a tool to get somewhere else. So we wanted to take her story and stretch it into her point of view and how it led her to Christian in 12 Steps Nowhere. And what's neat about it is, in A Second More, we're still not telling it from her perspective. She's always kind of plays the tool between two different characters and two different stories that all are connected.
I knew I wanted Mike Fitch to do this. I remember when we wrote it, he's the first guy that came to my mind, and I talked to Russell about it, and we both felt like he can do it, but the problem was it was such a hard character to play, because Kyle's emotion had swings, complete turnaround. I mean, he had to be completely content with what he was doing with his letter. And then as soon as he finds out what's wrong, he has to just want to kill himself. And we didn't know if Mike can pull that off, so we went through a few rigorous rehearsals with him.
But I actually saw him do a monologue one time, and he blew me away. I was really impressed with his performance. And in A Second More, I was even more impressed, because there's not, in the movie itself, it's being that it's narrated by him, a lot of it is all done through action. And a lot of it through emotion too. He had to go through quite a range of emotions, from calm to upset to angry to violent, and he pulled them off great. I was just really impressed with the way he worked through those different emotions. John, I'd worked with before. He's a local actor who's done commercials, and I see him on TV all the time, on all kinds of local television commercials. And we cast him as the detective in the movie.
John was going to play Jimmy in 12 Steps Nowhere. He was one of the characters up for 12 Steps Nowhere, but he felt like that character was too much for his situation with his wife and his kids and stuff like that. But so when this came about, we thought, hey, let's get John in this, and give him a chance to show what he can do. And he did a great job. He played Detective Mills, which is from Seven.
And I thought his performance as a as just a pretty much straight-laced. We really wanted him a clean, straight performance as a detective, kind of no emotion type of thing, because we don't really know who this guy is when he walks through the door. So it was very ambiguous about what his intentions are, what he's going to say to Kyle when he actually approaches him, and he played it straight, just like we want to play. Hey, you're a straight cop, straight detective. Just walk in and be the guy. And Dave had done some research and talked to an actual detective on things to say and how to say them, and I thought John did a great job. I said I've worked with him in the past, and he's always great. What's neat about the movie, I think, is that the title is so true that had it been just a second more, he'd be dead, and he would never have gotten that information. So that, I like the way the title plays into the story itself. I mean, it really is part of the story.
So overall, it's a very, very dark story. You know, we here tend to do some dark movies, you know. So, but I think it's a story basically about a man's reaction to this, and there's all different kinds. You know, Kyle could have done something differently. He could have just went and filed for divorce, you know, like some guys do. But then sometimes you react. Your first thought is something beyond anything we could imagine.
Is Cindy Matthews your wife?
If you know something about my wife, you have to tell me! Oh!